What's up, boys?
Hey, Pat, thank you for joining us on this glorious Overreaction Monday. Brad Marchand, Kachuk, Reinhardt, and Bob and the boys go into Toronto and smack them in the mouth in front of the Beavers. This is what Toronto's MO is, but this year was supposed to be different. How do you think the Toronto Maple Leaf fans are taking this? And everybody in hockey assumed this was going to be the case, or no?
I think for all you guys have been talking about, we're breaking down the game a little bit, but I think the first 10 minutes, Florida had them on the ropes, and then Toronto kind of pushed, the next 10 minutes in the first. It was a 0-0 game going into the second period. Obviously, if you're a road team, you'll take that, but if you're Toronto, you'll take that too. It just seemed like it just got away from them in the second period. And, when you're playing behind in Game 7, it's impossible to come out on top. So I think they played behind. Even if they get that first one, then they score the second one quick, and then they get the third one, and now, the game's probably over right there. But if I'm a Leafs fan, you're probably gutted every year when you see this every single year. Can their core guys get it done? It seems like they can't right now, but they're a great team. I thought they were a different team this year. They played a little harder. They had some more structure in their game. I was pulling for Toronto only because Burby coached me in St. Louis when we won, and Joseph Walsh from St. Louis, so he's a good St. Louis kid. So I was pulling for him in that. Unfortunately, it wasn't their night.
Yeah, in front of the Beavers too.
Man. Yeah, that was a tough look. Maybe he's their bad luck charm. But
Drizzy put $1 million on him too. So there's a lot of different curses. That the internet was talking about. Biz obviously had a fantastic night on TNT.
Yep.
I don't know why he's wearing red in there. It's Panthers color. That's Panthers color.
The little maple leaf in his.
I think he just needs to change his outfit. Yeah. He needs to change his outfit. I felt like every time he wore that outfit, he got rid of the yellow shirt, but even the tie and the jacket, maybe just change it up. Maybe just don't wear it.
He's in the middle of making an album, too. He's in the middle of making an album. He's making a band. You can't have this guy. How's he supposed to win a Game 7 while he's also making an album? What all can we expect out of Justin Bieber? My last question before the boys have some here. Let's go to the West. Dallas, Otter. Obviously, I heard a quote from him that said, I want to win a Stanley Cup, and I want to be the starting goalie for the United States of America. Obviously, Hallebuck on the other side, best goalie in the league throughout the season. Otter was doing some shit this series that was absolutely absurd. You've said if you have a good goalie, you can win it all. Otter, right now, hottest goalie left, and can they win this entire thing down there in Dallas?
Yeah, like I said before in the show, I think even this game right here in Game 6, I think Hellebuck played a tremendous game to give their team the try to force a Game 7. I thought they played really well. I think it was a well-rounded game for both teams. They both played great. It was just about, unfortunately, Mark Scheifele was going through some things, and he gets a goal. The team is through some injuries. Morrissey goes down during that game, but as you can see, you need goaltending, you need a big-time save, and that was with like 3 minutes left with Otter right there, making that big-time save. So you need key saves at key moments in the game, and I think Dallas is just built for the playoffs. They're big, heavy, strong, they're fast. They have a great makeup of the team. They have 4 lines that can roll. They have, 3 pairs of D back there that can, just open up the door and go. So, with Edmonton, I think, to be honest with you, you got to stop Connor and Leon. I think with Edmonton has been, during the past, postseasons, they don't have depth scoring, and I think they have it this year. They have all 4 lines that have been producing. You're not just counting on the big 2 up there. So it's going to be a great series, heavy series. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, Patty, you won 3 cups. Was there I guess when you think back on those teams, was there a theme or something like the culture felt on those teams that you knew like something was special possibly early on? And if you compare some of those teams and maybe times when you were on a team that came up short, I don't know, is there something you could put your finger on of, hey, this team had some kind of common thread throughout all your 3 cups?
The relationships away from the rink was very special. We bonded so well together away from the rink, inside the rink. And I'm a firm believer, if you have those relationships inside, it's going to carry over on the ice. You're going to have confidence. You're going to, stick up for your teammates. You're going to play for the guy beside you. There was a great culture in those cup runs that we went deep on, and that's a huge thing for me. And I think we're seeing it with Florida right now. It just seems like their locker room's clicking. They got good leadership. When someone gets traded there, they bring him in right away. And I think with those runs that we went on, we felt that way. That's a sign of like swagger to me, a sign of confidence, belief system. Things that go up and down. Florida loses the first two, they find a way to come back, claw back in the series. I think it's just a confidence swagger thing that we just had the entire time on these cup runs. Like, no one's going to touch us. We're going to play the same way. We're not going to get out of our game. We're going to be boring. We're going to be heavy. And I think Chuck's quote yesterday was, the longer you do it in a long period of time in a 7-game series, you're going to come out on top. Eventually, you're just going to wear them down.
Harder.
And I think that's what we did too. And you're seeing that with Florida. They have the makeup of the team, and it's been fun to watch. Man, they're a hell of a team, and they have a goalie. They have 4 lines. They have great D. So they're going to be hard. They're going to be hard to beat. And in the series here, Tampa got hit like 103 times. When you're wearing these guys out, it's exhausting, and I think that's what the they have in that locker room, the belief system.
Hold on, say that again. I didn't hear that stat. Say what you said again, because you're big and you like hitting people. So these are stats that you like to see. How many times did Tanev get 103 times in the series?
Yeah, that was before game.
Jesus.
So that's a mindset that, like, they're saying, like, hey, we got to get bodies on these guys. Like, for young quarterbacks, for instance, they say, hey, let's get people around his feet. Like, let's just, even if you're late, let's get people, even old quarterbacks, like, let's get people around their feet. You guys have the mindset, like, hey, let's get a body on these guys. That is a real strategy in this thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a strategy for going into a Game 7 series. You want to wear the D out. You want to be exhausting for them. You want to be in their face at all times. You dump it in, you want to lay a lick, You want to make it difficult for them as hard, and you want to go back and dump it in. So you want to reload, get the puck back, three-quarter ice them, throw it back in, and do it again. And at the end of it, man, you don't want to go back for a puck. I'm telling you right now, I've been on the other side of it where you can see D are exhausted, they're out of breath, they're coming back and putting their head down, and physically and mentally, like, I mean, Jesus Christ, are we doing this again? So over a long period of time, it's exhausting. So that's what Florida does. I mean, they play a simple style of game where they're good defensively, they break it out clean, they go back the other way 200 feet, and they just lay it in the corner and go. And it's a prime example of, the 5th goal there. I think it was a 5th goal. Marshy lays it into the corner, hit, shot to the net, tip. Back of the net. It's not pretty. It's not pretty, but it's exhausting, and you're going to find your ugly goals.
I love that. That Tanev hit 103 times is more than double anybody else on the ice.
What?
Full conversation by Coach Mo. Hey, look, this guy right here, bodies.
Yeah.
103 times. That's a target. He's skating back to the bench in between shifts. Are you guys getting hit every time? I'm getting hit every time I'm out here. That's a wild thing. And I love that you say, yeah, you're trying to wear these guys down, for sure. Just
You have to. You have to. And I think it's playing the right way the whole time. You don't get out of structure. Sometimes you're going to have, a bad game. You're not going to be perfect every game, right? But if you're 75, 65% of that perfect, I mean, you could eventually come out with a win, right? You just for the team to make mistakes, and you play a hard, simple game, and throw pucks to the net and find ways to create second, third opportunities. You'll find your way.
Florida's already won, and you talked about the most important thing is being together, and you chit-chatted about it a little bit, but Darius J. Butler, lifelong Florida Panthers fan. That's a question for you, Patty.
Yeah, you talked about that culture, and you specifically mentioned when trades come over, when players come over that have been traded. Seth Jones and Marchand, obviously they played a huge role right now. The core guys that are already there. What has been their impact right now on this Panthers team throughout this playoff run? And I want you to talk a little bit about that third goal from Jonesy, where he kind of kept his stick off the puck, waiting for his guy to get back on. So just tell me about these guys and the impact they've had on the squad.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to play with Jonesy this year in Chicago. Obviously, it wasn't a good fit for him. He needed to go somewhere and not be the guy, but play with guys and surround himself with good players and good culture. And man, he's really come out. This is like I feel like it's not his coming out party because he's been an elite player in this league for many years. But, man, he's looking really good out there. You can tell when Ekblad was out, he fit in right away with this team. And his offense ability is coming out. I think the biggest thing for me is how he plays defensively. You know, he's playing against the top lines. He's playing hard. His stick is really, really good. So it's been really fun to watch him. And he's been producing with them, man. He's been scoring some big-time goals. And this goal right here just uses his size, uses his skill, takes it to the net on that one where he beat him wide. But I think they didn't count it. But, I mean, this shot on the two on the first one, I mean, that was a snipe. But Jonesy's a great player in this league, and I'm very happy with him right now. And he fits in really, really well with that Florida Panthers team, and I'm proud of him. And with Marshy, man, he can fit anywhere. It's like a bunch of – that's like his team, like Kachuk, Bennett. You know, those are his guys. You know, they all play the same way. They're hard. They're in your face every single night. And Marshy fit in right away. That third line has been so effective, so consistent for that team. And they've been scoring some big-time goals for the Florida Panthers. And it looks like that line's been gelling right away, right out of the gate. But I think the biggest thing for me is the culture they have in that locker room, how they bring those guys together, and they fit in probably from day one. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then you can just play hockey, right?
You talked about him being in the third line and fitting in immediately. He answered that question to the TNT boys afterwards. It was brought up by the white on the far right.
Yep. Was it Colby Armstrong?
Yeah, Colby Armstrong last night.
Colby, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Colby brings it up. He goes, you're a third liner for this Florida Panthers team to Marchand. You know, you're like a depth guy is kind of how he worded it. And Marshy talked about how towards the end of the year, nobody was healthy, so they didn't really know who was going to play with who. And then he said as soon as he got with that group, the chemistry was immediate. He said we all play pretty similar. We're all in there. Is there guys that you work better with than you don't work with? Like, is that something that Marshy would have literally been able to figure out? Or is he just kind of being humble about being able to play with anybody? Is there like certain, like, because I remember Gensel and Sidney Crosby, for instance. Gensel and Crosby, immediately upon Gensel getting there, it was like, knew where the hell to be. Crosby was feeding them. This dude's scoring goals immediately upon getting there. And then there's been other guys, obviously, that Sid's been able to kind of mesh with. But when Marshy says that immediately they had chemistry, what does that mean? They're just seeing the ice the same way? Or what do you think he meant by that?
Yeah, I think they're reading and reacting off each other. I think they see the ice pretty well together. I think they similar games. You know, I think the hockey IQ that they have is probably similar to what he's used to playing with. Obviously, Marshy playing with Pasta and all those guys, Bergeron and Boston. But I think with him, it just seemed like it clicked right away. You know, those are two young players he's playing with. They're hungry, and I think they have tenacity. You know, they kind of have that never give up fight on pucks. You know, they kind of read and react off each other, and it just seems like it's been a great fit. You know, with Marshy's hockey IQ, he's an elite player in this league. I think he's a Hall of Famer, and when you have that veteran presence on your line, I think it kind of boosts those other two, right? To get them, you know, playing maybe with a little more hockey IQ, a little more offensive ability, right? And you can see it. They're producing great for this team, and they have depth scoring, and that's huge for them. And with Marshy saying he's a depth player, I don't think he's a depth player. I think he fits in perfect, right? He's still playing his minutes. He's on the PK. He's on the power play. You know, he found a line and he found a home that kind of fits with him right now. And I think they're their most consistent line right now.
I think points would say too, at 37 years old or whatever. I mean, Marshy's an absolute dog. I enjoy him.
I do too.
I enjoy him a lot, just as an entity, just as a being. I really appreciate he's got to be good to be the way he is, obviously, and he's great. And you said Hall of Famer. In my head, I don't know the rules for the NHL Hall of Fame, but I would have just assumed that Marshy was Hall of Famer as well. Happy to hear that you think that, and now I feel much smarter. Now let's go to the West, shall we? Connor has a question for you, Patty.
Yeah, Patty, what do you think about the Oilers being off for so long? I'm not sure during recent playoff runs how much rest some teams have had, but it feels like we haven't seen the Oilers play in over a week, and you could argue the same with the Caniacs as well. But how do you feel about the rest for two of these teams versus the other two kind of just having to turn around and go play immediately after wrapping up their two respective series?
I can go both ways. I think for me, if your team's a little banged up going into the playoffs and you made it this far and you find a way to, close out a series early, I think it's awesome to have some rest, get those guys a little bit healthier. You know, if they're playing at 80%, maybe you can get them at 90, 95%. So I think it will be fine for them. For me, some players too, it can go down the list. Some players would like to play right away, you know, get this thing started, you know, no breaks and find a way. But I think West, it's tough, you know, with Dallas just finishing. But for me, rest is a weapon. You got to use it, and you got to find ways. So I think with these guys being off, if they're a little banged up, I think they're going to come back just fine, right? You can take a couple days off, practice, days off, but Dallas is obviously coming off a hard series, so they're going to be ready to play Wednesday. So I think Edmonton will be fine, though. I think they needed some rest because they went on a deep run last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, an emotional, you know, loss for them in Game 7. But, you know, I think there's this time of year that teams that go deep, you need the rest.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, speaking of that, Patty, obviously, you know, your team's never really had any issue with this because you won 3 consecutive Stanley Cups. But for a team like Florida, like, how much does fatigue come into play because this is going to be their 3rd consecutive season with, like, a very deep playoff run? Like, do you feel that at all? Is it kind of one of those things where after the season ends, you kind of just have that big release and you're just dead tired? Or, like, how does that work going into one of these series?
I think you're running high still. You're still, like, your adrenaline's pumping. You're still going. You're playing meaningful games down the stretch. I think, you know, Florida's trying to do what Tampa did and Pittsburgh did, you know, 2 cups in a row. So I think with these guys, it seems like their engine never stops. I think they'll be just fine. You know, they're going to be, 3rd conference finals in 3 years. It seems like they still got a lot of juices left. It seems like they're playing at a high pace right now. So I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. But like you said, though, when it's all said and done, you achieve your goal, then you can sit down and rest and be like, thank God that's over. You know, thank God we had the opportunity to lift that Stanley Cup. It was well worth it. So I think that's what they're doing. And listen, they got Marshy coming back. They have Jonesy. They got some guys that, you know, that have some energy that haven't went deep in a long time. So, you know, they can feed off their energy. And they got a goalie that's looking great right now. But it seems like their engine's going right now, and they're playing some great hockey, so I'm not too concerned about that.
Yeah, Tkachuk had some games off, too, obviously, with that groin injury from 4 Nations. You won 3 straight Stanley Cups, 1 with St. Louis, 2 with Tampa. Go Bolts. What was the most absurd thing you put in the Lordo Stanley Cup?
I put toasted raviolis in there because it's like a St. Louis staple.
Delicious.
With sauce? Yeah. Was there sauce in it,
Marinara?
There was sauce in the Stanley Cup, and then we dipped toasted ravs in the Stanley Cup with the sauce in there. So yeah, that was the most outrageous thing. But I think for me, probably just putting 1,000 beers in there.
Of course, Joker. I appreciate Joker too. As soon as the Nuggets lose, he goes, the next few days, probably a lot of beer. If I had to go. And then obviously you hear about as soon as I had an opportunity with Stanley Cup around me, it was like, gotta drink a beer out of this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have to drink a beer. Well, you're not allowed to do that because you didn't win it. Well, Rupper's here. He won. So he will pour the beer into your mouth or whatever. Here's we actually have a clip of the grazie, the mozzarella, the ravioli going into Lordo Stanley Cup there. 1,000, how many beers does it hold? 6?
I think 6 or 7.
Have you done one in full swoop?
Oh, yeah. No. Half. It's heavy, though. You got to do it yourself unless someone's doing it for you.
Has anybody ever taken down a full cup of beer?
I'm sure they have. For sure.
That's a lot of beers.
That's a lot of beers.
That's a lot of beer. I know you hockey guys drink an immense amount of booze. I also fancy myself as an old school, pretty big drinker, booze bag. I don't know. 7 beers is a lot of space.
Oh, yeah.
Just in there as a whole.
I mean, Chara won that thing. Chara can put down 50 beers in a sitting if he needs to. He's like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, he is a gigantic human being.
Yeah.
I mean, when you win, anything is possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's pretty valid.
You can drink 7 no problem if you win.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Because you're probably deleting about 50 that night anyways.
Sure.
Boom.
Yeah, you're right. Who cares what's coming and going there?
Yeah, right.
You just want Lordo.
Exactly.
We appreciate you making time for us, Patty. Will you continue to come on as the conference finals continue? We appreciate you.
Absolutely. I'll come on anytime.
That's great news. That helps us out booking.
Thank goodness.
Jesus Christ. Thank you so much.
I was supposed to go in the studio on Wednesday, but with the new baby, it's impossible right now. So
You got a new
I'm
baby?
going to try. Yeah, baby girl.
Congratulations.
Let's
How many?
go.
How many kids?
3.
Holy
2 girls and a boy.
Congrats, man. So how newborn? Like very recent? Within weeks?
Yeah, 4 weeks.
Man.
Jeez, you're in it right now.
Yes, you are.
You're in it.
I'm on the. That's why I was late today. I'm in it right now. The grind's real.
That's life. That's life, buds. That's Navy SEAL camp for humans.
Again, hit more than 10.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't even imagine it. Well, congratulations to you and Mama on a new baby. Congrats to you on crushing TV, and we appreciate the hell out of you for your time.
All right, thanks for having me, boys. Talk soon.
Hey, after you get out of this stage with the new baby girl, maybe we go back to Lordo, 1,000 beers. You know what I mean? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. All right, Patty Maroon.